The CDI was developed by a group of researchers including Larry Fenson, Donna J. Thal, J. Stephen Resnick, Virginia A. Marchman, Philip S. Dale, and Elizabeth Bates. All of these people are on the current advisory board except for Elizabeth Bates and J. Stephen Resnick, who both passed away a couple of years ago. But this current advisory board meets annually to discuss research and adaptations that have been made. Where was the CDI developed? Well, in the 70s and 80s, Elizabeth Bates and her colleagues used questionnaires for parents for data collection of children's language skills, and these evolved into questions about vocabulary and grammar and inventories that they used to create the CDI. And the first CDI was published in 1992 and has now been adapted into other languages. While there only is an official Spanish and English version of the CDI, there are adaptations of different languages, but the advisory board has strict guidelines and emphasizes that these adaptations are not translations and that these adaptations do need a lot of research to be considered reliable and valid.
The MacArthur-Bates CDI was published by Brooks Publishing. They have an English and Spanish version of this assessment, which are both available for purchase on the Brooks Publishing website.
The purpose of the test is to measure a child's emerging language skills, specifically in the domains of grammar and vocabulary. The vocab sections are measured in various categories, such as food, house items, pronouns, etc. The test can consider other modes of communication, such as gestures, and has been adapted into other languages as well.
The MacArthur-Bates CDI assessment is used to evaluate communication and language skills. It provides a systematic way for professionals to collect information from parents about their children's language. It also allows professionals to use this information for screening and developing prognosis for children with language delays. Lastly, it ensures professionals are meeting parents' needs when implementing child evaluation procedures. Furthermore, it is valid and reliable, and it is developed by top language researchers, and it is also parent-focused. The population this test pertains to are children who are 8 months to 3 years old. The MacArthur-Bates CDI assessment can also be used with older children who have developmental delays. It is usually or mainly parents or caregivers who conduct the assessment test and scores the test.
All right, so the MacArthur-Bates Communicative Development Inventory can be administered by anyone, whether it's a parent or a clinician. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to administer. This test is meant to be self-explanatory and very easy to use. There are written instructions at the beginning of each section throughout the test. The administrator should read the instructions carefully, fill in the date and the child's birth date, complete all the forms, and do not probe for imitated productions. It's important to note that we have to give the child credit for mispronounced words or baby talk. We should also give them credit for words they understand or that have the same meaning as the words on the form. We need to also take into account that words indicating names of people or that are specific to their dialect.
So I have a son named Tim. He's 2 years old and he's a late talker.
Okay, well, children often understand many more words than they say. So for this assessment, we are particularly interested in the words your child says. So please go through this list and mark the words you've heard your child use. If your child uses a different pronunciation of a word, that's okay, just mark the word anyways. Just remember that this is a catalog of all the words that are used by many different children, so don't worry if your child only knows a few of these right now.
Okay. So we use a different word for pajamas. We just say sleeping clothes.
Oh, okay, that's fine. As long as he understands or says that word, you can mark that.
Okay. Some of these words are a little bit too complicated for him since he's only 2, but...
Yeah, no worries. I mean, like I said, this is a catalog of a lot of different words, and you shouldn't be concerned if he doesn't know all of them.
Okay. Well, he doesn't say any sentences yet, so I think I'm done for now. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is an example of what it might look like for a parent to fill out the assessment form.
Scoring involves counting responses, summing scores, looking up normative values, and completing the summary sheet. The inventories are easily scored by hand using raw scores with the values in the lookup tables. The tables give information for scoring and interpretation. The child report form includes summary scores that are easy to understand and can be given to the parent. There are also automated scoring options that can help the summarizing of data collected from the inventories. So the first thing that we need to do is add up the responses and summary scores. This will give us the ability to compare that score to the raw scores in the lookup tables that tell us where the child is in their development. The administrator has the option to hand score or machine scan the scores into an automated system. Machine scanning can give you more in-depth reports summarizing all of the data from the test.
This is an example of a clinician filling out the scoring form after the parent has finished the assessment.
The MacArthur-Bates CDI is not normed on children with hearing loss, but because it is a parent report of the child's communication, vocabulary, and comprehension, it would still be used and scored in the same manner. There is no difference in the administration of the test between those with hearing loss and those without.
Okay, Tim, we're going to read the 3 little pigs today. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs, and the time for them came to leave home and seek their fortunes. Before they left, their mother told them, "Whatever you do, do it the best that you can do, because that's the way to get along in the world." There's the 3 little pigs.
Pig.
The first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. The second little pig built his house out of sticks. This was a little bit stronger than a straw house. The third little pig built his house out of bricks. One night, the big bad wolf,
Wolf.
who dearly loved to eat fat little piggies, came along and saw the first little pig in his house of straw. Look at the little houses.
Wow.
Which house do you like?
A.
Me too. He said, let me in, little pig, or I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the little pig. But of course, the little wolf did blow the house in and ate the first little pig.
Sad.
The wolf then came into the house of sticks. Let me in, little pig, or I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the little pig. But the wolf blew that house in too and ate the second little pig.
Eat.
The wolf then came into the house of bricks. Let me in, he cried, "or I'll huff and I'll puff till I blow your house in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the pigs. Well, the wolf huffed and puffed, but he could not blow down that brick house. Do you see the brick house?
Owl.
But the wolf was a sly old wolf, and he climbed up the roof to look for a way into the brick house. Look at the brick house and the wolf coming in.
Owl.
The little pig saw the wolf climb up on the roof and a lit roaring fire in the fireplace and placed a large kettle of water. When the wolf finally found the hole in the chimney, he crawled down and kersplash right into the kettle of the water. And that was the end of his troubles with the big bad wolf. The next day, the little pig invited his mother over. She said, "You see, it is just as I told you. The way to get along in the world is to do things as well as you can." Fortunately for that little pig, he learned his lesson, and he lived just as happily ever after.
Happy.
Pigs. They're
Pig.
living happily ever after.
Pig.